Welcome back. Our 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor is back with us now to talk about the developing situation in Minneapolis.
So just to bring viewers up to speed here this morning, another shooting last night involving ICE agents in Minneapolis. And now this morning, President Trump says he's threatening to use the Insurrection Act. I think for starters, we should explain what that act means exactly.
Sure. So the Insurrection Act is from the Insurrection Act of 1794, which actually allows the president to call in federal troops on domestic property. And so when in the situations that it is usually invoked is when there is an actual rebellion, and that means a rebellion against the country. And if the laws of the cannot be executed with the forces that we have in place. And so it's really a very high bar, it's a very high standard in which when the Insurrection Act is necessary.
We have seen something just like this play out recently in California, Oregon.
Yes.
What happened there?
Yeah, the same thing happened where he tried to federalize troops, the National Guard, brought them into both Oregon and California, and there were lawsuits, there were injunctions, and the courts ruled in favor of the states, saying, no, this wasn't a rebellion, it didn't rise to the level that would justify the use of national forces in these domestic settings. I mean, that is really frowned upon. They said it was a 10th Amendment violation, which was overriding the states' rights to do it. The governors didn't want this to happen, so he tried to do it without the governor's consent, and the court said no. And in the Oregon case, it was actually a Trump appointee who issued that decision, that federal district judge.
So it didn't work in Oregon, it didn't work in California. Let's just say that President Trump moves forward with this threat in Minneapolis.
Yes.
What could it mean for that state?
Well, I think you're going to see the same result. And because the question is this a rebellion against the country? And one of the shootings that the federal officer, the ICE agent shot, somebody had attacked him with a shovel and a broom handle. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, these are peaceful protests, but to the extent it's not, folks are throwing rocks and shooting fireworks in the air. So does this constitute a rebellion? I don't think so. And so I think the result is going to be the same, that a judge and I suspect there will be litigation, and a judge is going to rule against the Trump administration. Because, again, this is a last resort to use federal troops in a domestic setting against your own citizens. I mean, that is very unconstitutional, and in a very rare circumstance that would be justified.
Have other presidents tried this before?
Yes, other presidents have tried it before. Generally, though, it is with the consent. And as I said in the 740 hour, it was in 1794 with the Whiskey Rebellion, the rise of the KKK after the Civil War. They needed to use these federal troops. Bush used it in 1992 after the Rodney King protests. But of course, that was with the California governor's request. And then the last time it was used without a governor's request was in Montgomery in 1965 to support the civil rights protesters. So this is rarely used without the governor's consent.
So again, the new news this morning is that President Trump is threatening to use the Insurrection Act in the state of Minneapolis. We don't have a lot of time left here, Whitney, but what do you think the next steps are in the legal process here?
So I think there will be a lawsuit. I think they'll seek immediate injunctive relief, basically asking the court to say, hey, this is unlawful, and get the troops out. I suspect that will happen any day, and there will be a ruling quickly because it's an injunctive relief. And I suspect that the courts will rule against the Trump administration, and those federal agents will have to go out.
For the California and the Oregon situation, that took a little while to play out, because wasn't there like a lot of back and forth with that?
Yes, that took a while it was months while those troops were there, and it took a while for that to resolve. It then went to the Court of Appeals, 2 different Court of Appeals, and they affirmed those decisions, so they ruled against the Trump administration. So every court that's looked at it has really ruled against the Trump administration.
Yeah, I was reporting in Oregon at the time of all that, and it went back and forth, and even some of the appeals judges were ruling against each other. I mean, they couldn't even come to agreement in some cases there in Oregon.
Yeah.
All right, Whitney. Well, we really appreciate you coming in again here.